Have you heard that podcast interviews are a great way to improve your SEO? The backlinks are gold and it can help you get more organic traffic. Or are you like most people and it just glazes over and says, what does that mean? Well, the good news is most of our clients don't understand all the intricacies of the internet, but they understand that podcast interviews is helping them get heard and get found on the internet. Hi, this is Tom Schwab with Interview Valet, and I want to explain the mystery behind search engine optimization and why podcast interviews are so powerful to you and your brand getting found on the internet. So first of all, SEO stands for search engine optimization. What's it mean? Setting up your website so it can be found online. Now, when you go to Google and put in a search term there, any word, there's an algorithm, a way they look at ranking all those websites. So if you put in podcast guesting, my guess is there's thousands, tens of thousands of different sites that could come up for that. So how does Google know which one to put first? Because let's be honest, if you're not on the first page, you probably won't get found. And if you're like on page 10, you might as well be in the witness protection plan. Now, many of our clients are authors, coaches, consultants, speakers, or brands that really know that they want to get heard and they want to get found. Obscurity is their biggest problem. And some people may have told them, go on podcast interviews. We've got some people that go on podcast interviews just for the backlinks. And now, what does this mean? So every time that you're interviewed on a podcast, a reputable podcast that has show notes, and show notes are basically a page for every interview that explains it and links back to resources. So those are the only kinds of podcasts we put our clients on. So when you're on that interview, what the host is going to do is below the interview, they're going to put a summary. And in that summary is going to be a link, text that when you click on it, comes back to your site as the guest. It's called a backlink. And you've seen these on all kinds of sites. Usually they're a different color so you can tell that you can click it. Now, what this is this is a strong signal from one website to another website that says, we think this is good content. We want to send our valuable visitors to our website. We want to send them to somebody else's. We want to introduce them to this content. Now, the stronger the website is, the stronger that referral is. So think about it. If you get a backlink from some brand new site with no content and in some third world country with misspellings and backlinks all over, I'm sure you've seen those kind of sites. They don't count for much. But what if you were on a podcast interview that was hosted at Harvard and you got a backlink that said harvard.edu? That would be golden. The search engines would look at that and say, wow, this must be a good site. If Harvard is linking to it, it must be a good site. In fact, any site that ends in .edu, which is the educational ones, are very powerful. So if I go on Kalamazoo Valley Community College's podcast and get a backlink, that can be gold. Other ones are ones that end in .gov, meaning from the government. So if the government has a podcast on sales, on procurement, on health, boy, those can be golden. And we've got some clients that do it just for that. So think about it. As you go on a podcast interview, our algorithm looks at 4 things to figure out if it's a good podcast. The first one is the podcast itself. Does it have your ideal listeners in it? Has it been around? Does it have ratings and reviews? The second one is all about those links. Does the website have authority? Will they give you a backlink? Do they have the show notes? And then we're looking at things like social media, how much they're promoting it. And finally, our experience with our clients. So I hope that helps you understand why podcasts can be so important for you getting found on the internet. Not only people hearing the podcast, but also the search engines looking and saying, wow, that reputable website, that podcast, had this person on as a guest. They linked back to their site. They told people this is good information. And that signal to the website or to the search engines is what's going to help you. One of the factors that's going to help you get seen higher and higher on the searches. And really, that's what it's all about. I believe that obscurity is our biggest problem. Right now, with your current product or service, there are thousands of people that you could help, probably millions. They'd be happy to give you money. The only problem is they don't know you exist. Podcast interviews are a great way to get introduced to them by the host, to talk directly to them, and to get found on the internet. When they search for your product, your category, because of those backlinks that you've gotten from podcast interviews, you're going to show up higher.